Hello YouTube. I'm gonna go ahead and do a paddle wrap. Now this is an award paddle like the ones that I've made before. However, this one, I don't have all the stuff down here that I normally have on when you look at it. We're gonna be wrapping the handle portion. I was asked to do a different type of wrap than my other one, and so this is the video on it. If you look at the portion that we're going to be wrapping, the usable portion, right pretty much about there. So you're looking at about 15 and a half inches. And that's from about here to here. Obviously we'll go in a little bit more. So what I'm going to be looking at doing before I start all that is I'm going to need to put a loop on here. I'm going to have paracord wrapped around the shaft. And then I'm going to have some lacing crossing in front of here, going, crossing in the back, coming back, crossing here, and going back down to the back. A Turks head here and a Turks head here. That's the overall design that I'm looking for. So before I start that off, I'm working on the floor today, just to let you know, because I'm doing some banging and hitting and hammering, and so I feel that the best place to do this is going to be on the floor. So let me start off by getting a little bit of paracord and putting that down here. And before I get into that, let me talk about some of the tools that you're going to be needing today. Obviously we're going to need the paddle, we're going to need the paracord. I have navy blue and gold that I'll be using today. And we also need a tape measure, something like this. This is what I happen to have. I've got several tape measures. I do some construction work on the side, stuff like that. I like making things out of wood, so I've got the big heavy duty measuring tapes. Also scissors, something to cut it with. I've got a really good pair of scissors right here. I've also got some side nips and small cutters that I'll be bringing in to the picture later on. You'll need a lighter. Once again, you're going to have to go ahead and melt the paracord back together so that way you can go ahead and seal it so it doesn't unravel for you. Some fids, or basically like sewing needles for the paracord, or a marlin spike, or whatever you may have. I also need to have some brads or tacks, so it makes it easier. Now you can go ahead and tie knots and do all that. I am not trying to do this as hard as I can. I'm trying to do it as easy as I can, and in doing it as easy as I can, I'm also trying to do this in the sense of production. What I mean by that is, how fast can I get this done? I'm not trying to tie knots and they get loose on me and all that. I just want to wrap it around here. I'll start a tack in there, I'll wrap it, put another tack in it, boom, done. Don't have to tie knots or anything like that which you could possibly get loose. We're also going to need a hammer, obviously, to hit the tacks in. If you happen to have some needle nose pliers, you can use that to hold the tacks while you tap them in. Makes life a lot easier once again. So, with that said, let me go ahead and start wrapping it. Okay, now what you see here are some, once again, the tools that I'll be using. And what I'm going to do to start off with, though, before I put all the wrap on there, I want to, on the back side, make this to where I can hang it. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put a loop back here. That's fine. What I'm going to do is cut it right here. Let me go ahead and burn this end so that way it stays together. When you do this, try to make sure that you keep it in the blue part of the flame. Okay, now I have my hanger made. I'm once again just going to put it there. Let me go ahead and tack this down. I'll get a couple of these little brads out. I'll just put them in the groove of the grout joint over here. And looking at this, when we get the ends approximately even, pull off some little fuzzies. I don't like the fuzzies, just bugs me. They'll be hidden, but it bugs me. Okay, so I would like it to hang about like right there. So what I'll need to do is, using that spot, I'll need to put a nail in it, or a brad. So once again, pinch it at the top, see about where it should be, come down here, My ends are about even. And what I'm going to do is put the brad in there, hold it, once again, now you see why I'm doing it on the floor. Much easier, much easier. And what I like to do, wrap it like it's being screwed in. So if everything is going to start about right here, I might as well do it right here. So let me go ahead and get my brad again. Make this to where you can see it. Once again, everything's going to start and stop about right here. So let me move that a little bit. And in fact, what I'm going to do even is I'm going to start it. I'm going to go ahead and push this through the middle, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to put it on top of the other piece. So if I put it on there and then stick it down, it'll be easier to start, because I'm going to now stick it through that other piece to get it going. There. Now, basically both of them are tied together, nailed together. Bam! Okay, and I'm not really worried about this sticking out too far, because it'll end up being wrapped together and it'll still come in and look fine. So now what I'm going to do is just wrap it. Just keep on twisting it. I'm pulling it a little bit taut. I'm not making it to where it's so tight that, you know, it's hurting my hand by trying to pull the paracord. I'm just rolling it together, but yet keeping it a little tight. It does look good when it's more form-fitting, so that's what I'm doing. So I'll go ahead and fast forward and meet you at the other end. Okay, now as you can see, pretty much about done. One of the things you need to do is, however much room you have here, now I'm 1 1/8 inches. I should be roughly 1 1/8 inches there, and according to this, that's right at 1 1/8 inches. So I will terminate this right there. So terminating it, what I'm going to do is go ahead and I can hold it. I'll put another brad in it. And then cut it. Now, since we've done this, what we've got to do is this cross stitching. On the cross stitching in the military, this is a military award paddle. In the military, in the Navy specifically, their shoelaces go like this. Your left is always over your right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it the same way. So when I have my yellow, gold, and I'll end up cutting a couple pieces of this, because I'll have 2 going down this way, 2 going down that way, with a piece of blue in the middle, and you'll see it and it'll look good. So left is over right, so I've got to run my right first. So I need to attach it, run it over, and then run it over again, and it'll be attached in the back. And then I'll have another one that'll cross it. So that's basically how we're starting over. This piece right here takes roughly about 35 feet of this blue paracord, or whatever color you want to do. If you want to do a different base and then put your different laces on the top, that's fine too. But this takes roughly 35 feet. And remember, we had 15.5 inches of actual space that I covered. You're looking at right at about 13 inches. This paddle is, once again, about 1 3/16 inches wide, 1 inch, just under 1 inch thick. So 1 3/8 inches wide, just under 1 inch thick. It took me about 35 feet to go 13 inches, left over right. So I've got to start on the back side like this to come over. So starting on the back side, you can see I'm going to have to put my nail right here, and there's going to be 2 pieces. This is going to be about 2 feet, because like I was saying, it's going to come over, it's going to come around the back, and then terminate right down here. So that's how it's going to look, and you can kind of see the front, but that's how it's going to look. So how much is this? I usually cut about 2 feet. If you look here, these tiles are 12 inches. That's about 1.5 feet. Yeah, right at it. So if I cut 1.5 feet, I should be fine. Okay, the last thing that you saw was this blue was on there. Unfortunately, I didn't realize it, but my camera had stopped and you didn't see me cutting this out. I caught it afterwards. So let me describe what I did. I cut 4 pieces of the yellow line. Here I've got my fids, but you can see the yellow line. This is why you don't ever throw your stuff away, because you never know what you're going to use it for. But I cut 4 pieces of this yellow paracord. I cut it at 20 inches. I cut 2 of these blue pieces at 20 inches also. In reality, I only needed probably about 15 inches, maybe 14 inches, but I like to make it a little bit long, so after I nail it in, I've got some room down here to pull it really, really tight while I tack it in. That's why. So what I did is I ran those 2 pieces, 1 loop, 2 loops. On the second one, I pulled it tight, put the brad in there, nailed it down. Then I cut it and melted it and pushed it back in there so it's a nice smooth transition. I did the same thing with the other side. I nailed these 2 yellow pieces on, looped it once, looped it twice, came over to here, pulled it really tight, as tight as I could get it, put the brad in there, nailed it down, cut it, and then went ahead and melted it. So that way, once again, it's nice and smooth. So when I put my Turks head around here like this, what will end up happening is it'll look decorative, but not too terribly bulky. Hopefully it won't get like this over here. I'll probably hit this with a lighter, these ends right here, because these are the ones that I melted originally before I even put it on here. Then after the yellow was on there, and you can see the layering, you can see the bottom layer here, and then you can see the top layer here. If you look, you can see the transition, bottom layer of yellow, top layer. Once again, the left is over the right. So I ran the blue in the same way. After I did the yellow, then I did the blue, pulling it tight, nailing it down. And when you do that, it just automatically pops into the middle. And once again, as we were talking about layering, you can see the yellow, that was my first layer, then this yellow, then this blue, and then that blue. And you can see the layering on there. Okay, now I'm gonna do my Turks head. So once again, the Turks head will be here and here, and it'll be the yellow, so that way that's how it's going to terminate, is right here. So it's going to bring you from the paddle to the paracord. So I've got my line here. What I'm going to do is just put it on my fingers. I've got some pretty wide fingers, but by the time it wraps around and gets over the head of the paddle here where your hand goes, it gets slid on, it's going to actually be about the right size. I'll just need to snug up, play with the cord a little bit, so that way it gets back into the right size that I need to be able to complete the Turks head. So I lay it across my fingers, and I leave a little bit of a tail, bring it across my fingers, around the back, crossing over the original piece that I put there, and then I come parallel to the cord that I laid originally. Now this cord that I have just put on here is going to need to be threaded through that hole. So it's threaded through. And just try to keep your paracord straight. So I'm going to go ahead and move this down a little bit. So now I have 3 lines, snugging it up on my fingers a little bit. Then what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to twist my lines. So it's going to go under, it's going to go under, and then it's going to go over. So this side will go under. You can see how I'm twisting it. So then once again, I thread it through. If your line gets twisted, not a big deal. Just straighten it out a little bit. While you're pulling it, you can give it a little bit of a twist also, or just wait to the end, and when it snaps in, it'll be there. So once again, I bring it around. You can see that it's got a twist in it. Remember I told you that side gets twisted under, so this side gets twisted under, so here I am, I'm twisting it under. Here's my twist the way I came through. Now I'm going to reverse it. So this twist will go like this, because I'm always got to cross a line. You've always got to cross a line. So it's crossing the line right there. Let me straighten out my paracord a little bit. And I thread it through. So once again, you can see that it's crossed the line, and I bring it around again. You can see that these are in the same hole. So this line, I'm going to stop working with this side, and I'm going to start working with this side. Working with this side, I'm going to have to cross over. So I'm going to bring it through like this. Did you see what I did? It was like this. You can see how it's all in the same opening. So, being that it has to cross over, I'm going to bring it over, and this side is going to come under. No, I just didn't do that. Yes, I'm sorry, every once in a while it does get confusing. So the line has crossed, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to trace my line. So you can see it's got a lot of line here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start tracing this line here. So I'm bringing it under. And at this point, all you're doing is really tracing. Once again, if I move it down a little bit, you can see where I came up. I'm going to go through this hole right here, because I'm going to trace this line. I'm going to continue tracing it, and it'll go from line to line to line to give you your Turk's head. So once again, threading it through, and I'm going to trace it. I'm just going to keep on tracing, and you can see where the design, how the design is starting to be made up. Right, so let me go ahead and slide this over. However you want it is how you want it. It doesn't matter which way you bring it in, but I've slid it down my paddle. You can see how much extra room it has. It's almost twice as big, but I'm going to, like I was saying, snug it down. So basically just pull it. But then you got to go back in here and kind of smooth it down with your fingers. Just kind of smooth it down and make it look about even with your fingers, so the design looks correct. You will notice that you will have some bit kind of bunched up, but it's okay, because once again, we're just trying to even it. Okay, now at this point, what you can do is you can see where I've got 3 lines, 3 wide, and a lot of spaces, and I've still got some 2 wide. So I'm building it all up, when I get 3 on every one, that's when I stop at 3, and you'll see the design. This is why I like the fids, these needles, if you will. They're round tip, they're blunt. They're not going to stick into your fingers or anything like that. But sometimes you need to help manipulate, and this is the reason why I like using these, because you can see where it's starting to get kind of hard to stitch it. And I like that, because I like it to be nice and tight. You want to make sure that your stitches are laying down properly, and if it needs a little persuasion, you need to move it or whatever, this is what the other one's good for. So I'll put it in there and I'll give it a little tug to make sure it's nice and tight. And once again, I've got a little bit more to do, but I'm following it around. So like I'm coming through here and coming out here. And you can see it's a little tight. Sometimes you want to roll it in your fingers to get it to lay down correctly, whichever way that roll may need to go. If you twist it in your fingers and then pull it, that's when it lays down good. And then pull it nice and snug, so that way it makes it really nice and tight, and it's not something that's gonna fall out, or someone's gonna grab it and all of a sudden it's gonna slip off and expose all your other stuff for you. All your knots and all the things that you've got down there. But you can hear it's got some resistance going through there, and that's the way it should be. It should be to where it's nice and tight, and pull a little snug. And once again, you can see where I'm going from 3. Now it's going to be all 2. I mean, it's all 2 and it's going to 3. And I stitched this last part obviously on the paddle, just so that way it looks good. And I'm about finished here, so that's why I'm letting the video run a little bit. If you don't have FIDs, you can look on eBay, you can go to wherever I'm sure some Paracord stores are going to start selling them. And you can see I'm going from 3, pretty soon they'll all be 3. And this is tight on there, it's not shaking off. Although I could push it and maneuver it a little bit to where it's looking good. I like the kind of like the middle of the knot, if you will, to be in the middle. It kind of lines up. That's just my thing, though. It doesn't have to be your thing. It doesn't have to be something you care about, just what I like. So once again, pulling it tight so it all lays good. Now this one's going to terminate right there, so they're both basically going to terminate the same spot, and that's why I like to have this piece in the back, because it ends up terminating there. So once again, you can see that if I kept on going, it would be a 4 line. It would have 4 lines on it. I don't want 4 lines, I only want 3. So I'm gonna snip, snip, burn, and then, okay, so let me go ahead and cut this. And cutting it, this is what I really like these side nips for. If you can see, I can get down pretty low and cut it. Once again, get down pretty low. Oh, and here's another hint. If you're doing this stuff, don't do it in this like nylon. I love wearing like Under Armour and Nike basketball shorts and athletic wear. Yeah, don't do that while you're doing these paddles, because they're unfinished at the bottom. They're finished, but it just kind of drips. If you look at the top of the paddles, they'll typically have like 2 little nail holes or whatever where they hang them up to dry as they put this marine grade varnish on there, and yeah, it just kind of drips at the bottom, and they do hit it with a little bit of a sander, but it sticks to your clothes, so it makes it a little bit harder. So once again, coming in here pretty close, and so that piece is done. Now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and make sure that this doesn't come unravel, but I don't want to burn the rest of my paracord that's on this wrap. So I just very carefully make sure. Some people will leave that like that. I don't. I tuck them in. I think it looks unsightly. I've seen professional places that sell paracord paddles, and they tend to leave it. I think that looks kind of trashy. So just burn it enough to where it doesn't, yeah, I'm not going to leave that. Once again, to me, you can see that a mile away. But what I will do is tuck it inside and then, like I was talking about earlier, use this to manipulate the stuff around. Manipulate the line a little bit, and it disappears inside. You don't see it. Once again, this one, I'm going to push that down in there and push this, straighten these lines up a little bit over it. Look at that, you don't even see that one. This one has a little bit of a hole. If I need to cover it up a little bit more, one, push it in deep, then straighten these lines up. Now you don't see it. Now you've seen the finished product. I've got my Turks Head down here. I have my Turks Head up here. I've got my cross stitching done here, and of course the filler right here. Basically, once again, what I did, and let me see if I can go ahead and focus this for you a little bit. Okay, now keeping it about in this position, what I did is I used about 35 feet of this blue paracord right here, blue right here, about 35 feet of it, and what I did is on the back side, I tacked it on, and then just ran it around, down to here, tacked it on. Then what I did is I cut 4 of this gold color, the gold color right here, paracord. All I did is I cut 4 pieces, approximately 20 inches long. And like I was saying before, in the military, in the Navy, they always tie their shoes left over right, looking down at them. So I did basically the same thing. So if you're looking down at it, you've got the left going over the right. So once again, left over right, left over right, and you can see that that's the way it was layered. Left over right, left over right. So what did I do? Well, if you cross this back and go up to here, you can see at the bottom, once again, the left goes over the right. But what I did is I went ahead and tacked those two pieces on. I had 4 of those at 20 inches. I wrapped it around once, wrapped around twice, pulled it tight, tacked it on, trimmed it, melted it. Melted it down here. Then what did I do? I started 2 pieces here. I tacked it on. I ran it around once, run it around twice, pull it tight, tack it on. Then what I did is I took a piece of blue. You see these Turks heads are really on there. They're friggin' tight. That's why I use these fids. But once again, for the blue, what I did is I tacked the blue on, and then I wrapped it around once, wrapped it around twice, pulled it tight, and then tacked it on. Put the other one piece on, ran it around once, run it around twice, pulling it tight, and then tacking it on. And I use those, I believe they're 11/16 inch linoleum brads, anything with a little small head on it, brad, half an inch long, whatever, with a little head on it, so that way they bury in there pretty good, but yet they hold the paracord on pretty good. And being nice and tight, and that's what it gives you. When you pull it tight also, the blue just automatically like pops into the middle. It spreads apart and pops into the middle of the gold. So that's how I got these pieces on there. And then, as you just saw, I made the Turks head, that one and this one. I got it fairly tight, or 2 size. I went ahead and slid it over the top down to the bottom, and then pulled it tight, or top with just a little bit of room to where you can move it around a little bit. Having the extra piece stick out the back, the tail stick out the back, and my working end, I just kept on working around, and I worked it around till I went ahead and I got 3 strands. I do it for 3 strands. I don't do 4 or anything like that, just 3. Did the same thing for up here. I had my working end. Matter of fact, if you look really close, you can probably see a little bit of that one end, the tail sticking out. It was right there. These fids, that's what these fids are great for. I can just go in there and adjust them over a little bit, and by doing that, I close the hole a little bit, and then you don't see it. Looks fine. But once again, I just slid it over the top, pulled it to where it had just a little bit of wiggle room in it. That was about it. And then what I did is I went ahead and kept on stitching around, and until I got a 3-layer or 3 wide stitch on my Turks head. And the ends, when I came to them, I snipped them, melt them a little bit together so that way they don't unfurl or fray or whatever, and then I pushed them down below. And then that's how you end up with this. If you're interested in looking at how I went ahead and sunk this into the paddle a little bit, you can see that it's that coin. This is a coin for the what I was doing this for is a chief's mess, and what you can see is that the coin is sunk into the wood. If you want to see that, I've got another paracord video. It shows you how to do the handle wrap. Watch that one. It shows me doing that. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, if you'd like to see something that I maybe didn't cover that well, once again, you really didn't get to see me do this cross hatching on here. Since you didn't see me get to do that, unfortunately I had a camera issue. I didn't realize at the time. I won't be making very many of these unless I get someone that calls and contacts me personally. But if you have any questions and you want to get a hold of me, drop me a message below down in the comment section, and what I'll do is I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. Thank you again for watching. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, and comment. Well, hello YouTube. I'm here today with my helper, and what we're going to do today is